Well, it has been the most utterly crazy weekend that I have done in quite a while. Still gonna get a Poets Out War out for you, Lord willing. Doing it right now, getting it ready for tomorrow morning. Our car that we were going to be using to go to Oklahoma basically sprung a coolant leak of some variety. However, thanks to some very generous members of the brood and other things going on, it appears we're going to get it fixed soon and eventually, a fairly short delay, get to Oklahoma, but I don't know. Things are kind of nuts right now, as you can imagine. However, that's not important at the moment. Whatever's going on today, the day this releases, is what's going to happen, and you'll find out about it soon. For more updates, check out the brood, joshuadavidling.com/brood. And now we get to our Poets at War. Once again, without intros, I'm going to keep doing this until probably after Oklahoma, depending on when we go. It's just an easier way to get this done for now. I hope you're still enjoying these episodes. I've heard some people say they enjoy them. And this one is from January 6th, 2026. And we're finally into the 2026 recordings. And we're going to keep going with them. We're going to be moving to Tuesdays in the brood here soon. We were supposed to do that this week, but as you can imagine, things got kind of busy. However, Broodcast is tonight. For those that want to join in the Discord, check it out. And yeah, here's the next episode, 258 of, I believe 258 of Poets at War.
Pretty good, pretty good. How are you?
Not bad, not bad. Just hanging out. Glad to be back on for a little while and see how people have been doing. Changed the setup slightly, as you can probably tell. But yeah, it was just turned. But yeah. So how was your Christmas and New Year's and all that?
It was pretty good. We got to see tons of fireworks for New Year's. Yeah. They found a really nice little place we could kind of see the whole horizon by the city. So just like from one end all the way around, you can see fireworks going off.
Right. That was nice. That's cool. That is really nice. Yeah, I kind of just been messing with a lot of stuff. I got today I was supposed to get a piece from my microphone setup that ended up not working. But I ended up being able to shift and fix the issue that I had anyway. So we were returning that and got $40 back on that. And then I got one half of the Narnia set that I talked about in the brood that I was purchasing. I think it just got lost in the shuffle because of Christmas and everything. The volumes look almost identical, the two volumes, because they're a set, you know, and so only if you really look at the spine or look at the little icon in the center of the main cover can you tell that it's not two books, it's one set, right? So I got one, and I messaged them on Amazon to see if they, you know, what the deal was, because they advertised the two, and so it was probably a packing error. We'll see what happens. If it wasn't a packing error, it could be that they shipped it. It was cheaper to ship them separately, and I just got one. That sometimes happens with things like that because they're fairly sized out volumes. Hold on. Thought about pulling this over anyway, but let's see. So this is the second volume.
Okay.
And it has, in proper order, The Horse and His Boy, The Magician's Nephew, The Last Battle, and then an essay called The Lion of Judah and Never Never Land. This is the second volume in the set. So they added the little essay at the end. The volume one has a lion here instead of Cair Paravel. So yeah, otherwise they look almost identical. If I could have found them separately and bought them separately, I probably would have, because it would have been cheaper. But I can never find the first one. the first one always gets read more because it's Lion the Witch in the Wardrobe.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so I'm just hoping that I get that soon. But yeah, so had those two disappointments, but then the third thing that came was my let me turn it around and show you. I was given this giant monitor from my mom. It's a 40-inch. Well, I can't even quite get back far enough, but it's very big. And then I put a small one that I had that was a lot older right here. But basically, this is a 40-inch monitor, and I went ahead and got it set to 4K. Even though it's a 1080p monitor, I was able to kind of upstage it in a way to where like I just have tons of information on the screen. But my stand over there, the little monitor stand, wouldn't hold it because it was heavy, and so those screws right there were holding up a wooden dowel that was jammed up under here to hold it up for about a week. And then I finally got the new monitor arm, so I got that all hooked up. And that was the one thing that I got today that worked properly.
Wonderful.
So, yeah. But yeah, so that's what I've been up to mostly. Also reworking some stuff for myself and Logo Sophia, the way I'm gonna kind of go about doing basically like I'm starting to probably start using the term iconography more or something like that, because I don't want to use the pretense of art when using visual AI, because I think that even though people know me and know that I'm not purposefully trying to have my stuff compete with real artists when it comes to the visual side of the medium, I think that basically kind of like this stuff, like this is not art in the truest sense. This little icon here, right? It's a silhouette of Cair Paravel. It's meant to give you a basic idea of what Cair Paravel looks like and represent something and illustrate something. And so I, in the truest sense of the word, illustrate. And so I have been working on a different style. You actually saw one because you liked it. The Crown of Thorns on that Logo Sophia one. I'm using more of that style for Logo Sophia's stuff and for my stuff. Starting to rework things in that direction. Just so that I can have a visual where I need a visual quickly and easily. And it's also have it. Yeah, go ahead.
It's not like competing with, like you said, like an actual like person's drawing stuff that way.
Right. This is literally
it's still visual.
Right. It's a visual to help people get what I'm doing. You know, it's a visual communication, right? And so that's something that I'm starting to do more. You know, I may still have some of the other style with various things, but that's kind of like my main it's what I'm trying to do overall, is what I'm just trying to make it so that I'm communicating what the thing is that I'm making, which most of the time is sound more than anything else. And not a visual medium. This is visual just because we're talking to each other. But that's like, you know, so I'm still balancing and figuring things out and whatever else, but I'm rejiggering things. Not because I think there's necessarily anything wrong with what I was doing, but I want to be clear, and I want to express what it is I'm doing clearly to people, whether they are for or against AI in any sense. Right. And so that's the main thing I'm wanting to do, because it tends to gum up the works when people start arguing about AI on your post that has nothing to do with AI.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yep. So, because we can have that conversation elsewhere. I'm not opposed to having the conversation, but when I'm talking about something totally different, it just gets annoying. Oh boy. So, but yeah. So, been working on anything? I saw you did a drawing recently, or some doodles. I remember seeing those. Yeah. Those look good. Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty nice. Took a couple days and just was doodling, but
Mm-hmm.
I guess fairly detailed doodles.
Yeah. I used to do
Um,
something kind of like that with long time ago. I still remember doing, because when you said doodling, I wasn't quite getting what you were saying, and then I'm like, oh, she's doing the spaceships I used to do. I would do spaceships, and I would basically just like add, triangle here, this here. It always ended up looking more and more like a star with little guns on it and a little cockpit or whatever. But like that was what I would do, is I'd just be like, make it pointier, more triangles. So yeah,
and
you're just better at it. Oh
yeah,
boy.
I find that somehow focusing on repetitive tiny lines is stress relief.
Yeah.
Micro like
Yeah, I could see
micro
that.
lines of things. So I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
So, worked on any other stuff lately?
Actually, yes, I picked up the novel that goes with the Raelf and the Red story.
Okay, yeah.
I haven't worked on it in, well, not counting recently, I hadn't worked on it in about 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very excited to get back to it. Um, there's a lot of stuff I had forgotten that I had to like read through the old stuff and see if I could pick up the same voice more or less.
Right.
Um, I'm really excited to get back to it.
Fantastic.
Mm.
Looking forward to updates.
I
I was
kind of,
go ahead.
I kind of have the prologue about where I want it. I just need to work on like I want to make some of like the other language words a little easier to pronounce.
Right.
But at the same time, I kind of like the system that I have for the language.
Right.
So I'm going to work on that, I guess. They're
Yeah.
just difficult to read out loud.
Right. Right, yeah. Um yeah, doing that is important if you got other people reading it, right? And just figuring
Mm-hmm.
out what's what. And you could always do the thing that they do with anything that has Welsh names in it. You have a pronunciation key in the
Yeah, I
beginning
mean,
of the book.
phonetically, it's not bad. I cut out some extra letters and stuff like that. It's just like long words.
Right.
One of the ones here is Dagvintra Lanvo. But
Oh,
um, what that means, I guess, is the cliffs of deadly winds.
okay.
Because what it is like
Gotcha.
this giant cliff of ice that
Mm-hmm.
if you're not careful, the wind will like pick up your boat and smash it against the cliff. So,
Gotcha.
but there's like a lot of that all in the prologue. That like I like where the prologue is, but I don't know if it's too much of an overload with the different world building stuff.
Right. Right.
So I'm
Makes
gonna
sense.
figure that out, I guess.
Um the where was I going with any of this? The with what I've been working on, I think I'm going back and reintegrating an older idea that I've had and done at various points called poetry bricks. I'm not necessarily doing poetry bricks and calling it that, but it's kind of my old idea in that a lot of everything that I do is spread out over a whole bunch of different worlds and things. And I want to, and a lot of topics too. But I want to essentially be putting out something small every day and in sound and building on that over time. And the way I did it before was I essentially put everything as a metaphor, put everything in a hat and pulled something every day and just worked on each one of them chronologically and tied everything together with playlists and that sort of a thing. I'm kind of taking that idea, changing it up just slightly and pushing forward with it. And I'm going to start working on putting out stuff daily. Hopefully start tomorrow. On all of that, now that I've got most of my setup upgraded for this season. I might be getting rid of this. I mean, you can probably hear that squeak.
No,
maybe not. It's okay. But this is an old mic stand. My dad bought this probably in like the mid 2000s or something like that. And so it doesn't like to stay up. This is a very heavy microphone. Mm-hmm. And I thought, you know, it would be a fun upgrade, an RGB one. So I might have an RGB just for fun. You know, makes me happy. Might make other people go, "Oh, that's tacky," but like, it's just fun for me doing that kind of thing. So I like bright colors. But yeah. So I'm looking forward to getting back to that. I'm looking forward to hearing more about your story as it goes on and as you work on it. You didn't have anything to read from that tonight, I'm guessing, right?
I mean, I wouldn't mind if, I don't know.
I'd love to hear it. That's for sure. I'm trying to get people to read more often because it's getting harder and harder for everybody to kind of come together all at once. I'm hoping that people will start listening to the podcast and start being like, "Oh yeah, that was great. Tell that person."
Yeah.
which is kind of the way things were when, you know, we couldn't get everyone on Broodcast, but I'm working on it and trying to get everyone back on track. So
yeah. It was really nice last time Joel he like listened to everything, and I guess he went through and gave
Joel's
people
great.
feedback.
Joel bends over backwards to make sure that he tells everyone what he thought of their stuff, and I love him for it. He's a good buddy. He's here in town with me. He's the only one that is. And I want to spend more time with him, but just getting together has been crazy hard just because of his schedule and mine just haven't worked out. But he's been really cool. I'm just hoping to get people back on track and back on working together on various things. You probably heard rumblings, but I'm working with Alex and Jesse on turning Guardians of Atlanta, one of my superhero series, into a musical akin to Hamilton, or what's the other one? Epic, the Epic the musical, and so should be fun. I'm almost through with the first song. It's a lot more the first one's a lot more complicated, and so it's been taking a while, but we have a few people who've said yes to playing various parts, and I'm kind of getting excited about that too. So that'll be fun, getting that going and doing it piecemeal, doing it song by song, and, you know, all that kind of thing. So yeah. So, but yeah, that's what's going on with me. I'm the kind of iconography I was talking about. What I'm hoping to do, you've seen on some reels and some videos where they do subtitles that are like one word at a time.
Yeah.
I want to do that with an icon above it like this, and it's a black background in a 1:1 aspect ratio, so square, and so people can watch it. If it ends up in the real feed, great, it's in the real feed, and if it's not in the real feed, it can be watched landscape, it can be whatever. And for audio, you know, especially like stories and audiobooks and things, with that little icon, you know, a different icon each thing that I made, right? That kind of just illustrates what it is just a little bit. I feel like that'll be nice. I think that'll stand out in a good way. So, but we'll see.
And especially like if you were talking about like silhouettes, they're an image that type that is really easy to communicate with.
Yes. Yes.
Because they're so simple, but also like just a change of the line, it gets the message across pretty nicely.
Yep. And it doesn't feel like it's competing with people who are doing the detail work. A lot of people act like this is another thing with just art in general that really bugs me, is the autistic tendency to think that more realistic is better. Not everyone feels that way, but there are certain people who are like, they're in the video game world. They come from the video game side of things. We're like, yeah, more realistic, more gritty, or more this, more that. And I'm just like, man, some of my favorite art is just like Disney Renaissance 2D animation. Like, honestly and truthfully, like it's the motion of what they do, but it's also just the very simple, clear character emotions that come through. That's what I like, but that's me. Obviously there's room for all different kinds of art. I love a lot of old paintings like everybody does. I like a lot of, various eras and types. I like there are fine art things that I like. I have things that I can reference, but it's like, for me, I like simpler stuff. I like bright colors, simple. I also like I like simple but not minimal, if that makes sense. Right? Where you have a lot of detail, you can have a lot of detail in a piece, but it's still a simple piece. Does that make any sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's me. So, and I know I'm not a visual artist, and I'm okay with that. Like, I like what I like, and I've been told I'm wrong many times. So, but that's okay.
There are different genres of art, just like with writing. Like, I do fine art, but I also tend to lean towards like an illustration style where it's all like not cartoony, but
right,
exaggerated perhaps, or lacking realism. So like, it just depends on the style, I think. And then the whole more realistic is better. I think it's just the style that the artist chooses to like use, how their skills have progressed in that style.
Right.
So like a cartoonist can be a really good cartoonist, and that's their style. They can be really good at cartoons, or someone can do like portraits and they can be really good at portraits. I think that's more on the whether something's better or not is how they have progressed their style.
Yeah, I agree with that. One of the sad parts of being in poetry is that I don't have a lot to compare to. Especially because mine is very much not a common style anymore. Even just doing narrative poetry is sort of out there. The only people who are really doing it that I have found other than myself are either lyricists or they are I've found like maybe 4 or 5 verse poets period who actually write books, and they're always like in Africa or India or some other place and writing something very esoteric and or there's a lot of like liberal coming of age stories, like politically liberal coming of age stories that are written in verse, but also some of them say they're a verse it's in verse, but it's supposedly free verse, and I'm like, that's
which is not the same.
That's not the same thing at all. So yeah,
I write narrative poetry, but I haven't finished any projects.
Right.
One of them is a couple pages long. I was really liking it. It was a retelling of a Russian fairy tale where this king gets this like basically it's like a weather vane on the top of his castle. Yeah. And anytime an enemy comes, it warns him.
Oh, cool.
So it was a retelling of like that fairy tale. And then it was going to turn into like, you know, oh yes, give up his youngest son for the enchantment and all this stuff. But I stopped halfway through and now I forgot where it was going. But I like narrative poetry. It's nice.
I think anytime anyone hears it, they love it. You know, it's the same thing with even the lyrical poetry. When you get to songs, like people like country songs that tell stories. You know what I mean? Like that's, even if they don't like country music, they can connect with that. It's something that I've seen over and over again, but it's something that we just don't think about for whatever reason. Like I think kids still get it, you know. Kids still get it occasionally. You'll get a rhyming kids book, you know, that has narrative in it. But tonight I read, I started The Silver Chair with the kids. We finished The Dawn Treader on Sunday night. Monday night is Hazel's American Heritage Girls meeting, so we wait on Mondays because they're separate for bedtime. And they go to bed when she gets back, but like during the time we would do the story, she's gone. So basically we started Silverchair, and what I was getting at was the dedication is to Nicholas Hardy, who I looked it up and was trying to figure it all out. His dad was one of the Inklings, one of the lesser known Inklings. I believe it was Colin Hardy. And I just thought that was really cool, and I wanted to whenever I read the dedications to the kids, because I always try to read the dedications, I tell them who it was, why he dedicated it to them. And I had forgotten about this one, and I went and looked it up, and I told her tonight, I was like, so the Inklings were like the Brood, but you know, C.S. Lewis and J.R.R. Tolkien, because she knows the Brood better than she does the Inklings. And this was C.S. Lewis dedicating it to another member of the Inklings' child. And so that would be like, you know, me dedicating one of my books to Tristan Sunshine, right? You know, or something like that. And she just thought that was really cool. And she asked, what are the Inklings doing now? I was like, man, that was the problem with the Inklings. They stopped. They couldn't keep going. And that's one of those things that Alex, Jesse, and I have really kind of taken on hardcore in a lot of ways. We created a kind of a shared, you know, it's not fully complete yet and in place, but the idea is, well, if something happens to one of us, we can, you know, fix it and bring it back to someone else, you know, take it over eventually. But we want to run it as a sort of the way Alex says is an aristocracy. I say more like a feudal system, but basically we've got the three families, and our goal is to pass it on to the next kid. I'm the chief bard, Alex is the chief architect, and Jesse is the chief artist. And the idea being that the bard is the person promoting and pushing things and being the figurehead, the architect being the one who's like dealing with things behind the scenes and connecting things and putting things together, especially in the non-artistic fields. And then the chief artist being the one who's actually like working on the craft with everyone. We're not there yet, but we're working on getting there to where the three of us can do that. And the point is not to be, you say goodnight? It's Miss Abby.
Hello, Miss Abby.
Good night. Good night.
Good night, sweetie. But the idea is that we would be able to specifically help all members and just keep it going. Like that's really the main point of having the offices at all, is just to keep it going. And find ways to keep it moving forward. And so right now a lot of it is still on me, but like I want to get it to where I have a much more niche role as sort of, like I said, the figurehead and the cheerleader and the person pushing everything forward, because that's what I'm good at. you know, um, and trying to be I'm also the guinea pig in the experiment, because like the goal is I'm the one who's supposed to be, if we can get my stuff actually promoted and published well, we can do it for other people. That's the idea, you know? So, but yeah, that's when she said that about the Inklings, I was pretty sad. I'm like, cause I know do you know about the last meeting or no?
No.
Yeah. I don't remember where I heard about it or saw it, but the last meeting, Warney was the only one who showed up. C.S. Lewis's brother, and it had been like 2 or 3 weeks, and I forget if any of them that had passed away yet. I don't think Jack had. I think maybe one or two of the others. Not Tolkien, obviously. Tolkien was after Lewis, but he was looking at his watch, and he would write down minutes for these things, and so the last minutes literally say something like, 30 minutes after, no one showed. I guess that's it for now. Just something like that. And it's just, it hurts me so much. It hurts me so much to hear that after all that they had gone through, and all that they had accomplished, and just, I don't want that to happen for the Brood. I want our children's children doing this if we can help it. If God grants us kids to keep it going, I think it's worthwhile to keep it going. So,
yeah. I heard there's another group that calls themselves the Ink Blots. I don't know if you've heard of them. Douglas Bond.
I had not.
One of them. Do you know Douglas
the name?
Bond? Okay.
I know the name.
He does.
Why do I know that name?
Because he's an author. He does historical fiction, mostly Scottish based. The Crown and the Covenant trilogy, I think, is one of his biggest ones.
Yep. I recognize this, yes.
I read those a lot growing up, and my mom always thought it was so cool. She's like, oh yeah, and he has this club that, he's part of, and they call it the Ink Blots, like the Inklings.
Yeah.
So it's cool that there's like other groups out there as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm glad
also, his books are pretty good.
Yeah, I do need to read them. They've been on my list at various times. I knew the name, and I look at the images of the books. I'm like, yeah, I know those. Okay, yeah, it's been a minute since I've thought about those, but yeah.
Yeah, my grandma and then my great uncle, they gifted me like the series ages ago.
I didn't read a lot growing up because of the dyslexia. But what I did read, I really liked. There were 3 main series that I can remember growing up. 2 of them were more because they were funny, and then one because isn't anything else, baby?
Do you know how to start over a CD?
Start over. Well, you got to get to CD first on the right.
It was on Bluetooth mode.
Yep, CD.
Okay.
Then you should just be able to press play, or it starts reading. And see, it's already spinning. Are you trying to get it to keep playing? Is that what you're asking?
No, like I want to start it over.
Start it over?
Yeah.
So
because Peter,
go back to track 1 and then hit play. There you go. Anyway, she's listening to The Roar of Love, second chapter of Acts. You know that one?
No.
It's a Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe concept album from the 70s.
Okay.
By the band's second chapter of Acts. Anyway, just thought that was funny that happened to be happening. But the let's see, where was I talking about? What were so the
series you really like?
Yeah, the 3 series that I really liked growing up that weren't like Narnia or Narnia adjacent in any kind of way were there were 2 series by Bill Myers, who was the guy who wrote the McGee and Me series. McGee and Me was not one of the ones that I was into. They were I think it had a couple different titles, but it was the My Life As series or the Adventures of Wally McDougal. The idea was every book was titled something like My Life As, and then it was something. So the first one was My Life As a smash burrito with extra hot sauce. And then it just gets like weirder, crazier. Think Diary of a Wimpy Kid kind of a thing, but like different. Honestly, it was way weirder and funnier. He wrote the most absolutely absurd slapstick books, basically, of this wimpy kid who just would get into these Rube Goldberg-esque situations where he'd just go from one thing to another and just smash into things. It was pretty funny stuff. And he also was a writer, and he wrote superhero stories that were absolutely utterly ridiculous. Very honestly, probably the biggest influence on my I've read from it before, the Shape series, the comedy superhero series that I have.
Okay.
And then he wrote another one that was equally as funny called Bloodhounds Incorporated, which was a detective, typical kids detective thing. It was in the 90s, but it was pulling on your Bobbsey twins, your, all that kind of stuff. Your little Hardy Boys, Nancy Drew, all that. Encyclopedia Brown. But he was doing it in a more like 90s Adventures in Odyssey-ish kind of style, and it was pretty fun. And then the other one was a series that was a historical fiction series that my brother got into first. And took me a long time to get into it, but my mom made me read them, and I ended up really liking them. It was called The Adventures Down Under by Robert Elmer. And it was historical fiction when Irish people were being sent to the prison colonies in Australia. This dad gets sent away, and the mom follows with the kids and finds him. And it's that they have a really close-knit family. It was just a really cool, story about them trying to figure out how to live in Australia. I mean, that's a great story in general. Try to live in Australia after being in Ireland, whatever. So it was good. Yeah. So what were some of those series that you can think of that just kind of sucked you in?
Well, like I said, the Crown and the Covenant trilogy by Douglas Bond. I used to read those to my siblings when I was like 10. We used to like be going, getting ready for bed and stuff, and I would read those to them. I really liked the Prydain Chronicles by Lloyd Alexander. I wasn't a huge series person, honestly.
Yeah. What were you more into?
Trying to think. I've read a lot of books. I've read quite a few Nancy Drews. We have a lot of the great illustrated classics. If you know those, we have quite a few of those I've read. Boxcar Children, my sister really liked those, and I read some of them too. Mary Downinghan Ghost Stories. Oh, the Darkest Rising series. That one's really good.
Who's that by?
Susan Cooper.
Okay.
They made a movie called The Seeker, which basically it's like all the books mashed up. It's good if you don't think of it as going with the books, but rather it's thematic.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool. I read a lot of Sherlock Holmes too, which I guess I shouldn't not have because mostly like him being like a whole drug addict and stuff.
Yeah. I thought of two more that we had to. He was much more known for doing all those terrible, and I say terrible having not read them, just terrible for the industry. All the Amish romance stuff. But we didn't read them. We didn't read those. He had a sci-fi. Gilbert Morris also had a science fiction series and a post-apocalyptic fantasy series. That were actually both pretty good. They were both of them were almost exactly the same premise in that they were an ensemble cast of various teens dealing with teen stuff in a crazy setting. But they were decent. The Daystar Voyages was the sort of the sci-fi one. It definitely had a heavy Star Trek influence, but it was more like I don't remember the exact plot of where they were going, but it wasn't a diplomat. It wasn't like a diplomatic, like search out new life mission. It was like they were actually going somewhere, and they were meeting all these different people on these different planets along the way. And then the other one was the Seven Sleepers series, which basically like you had a bunch of teens get cryo frozen right before nuclear apocalypse, and then they wake up and they're in just a completely different fantasy land and have to deal with it. And there's some people who serve I think it was Goel. It was a god, Eru Iluvatar sort of analog sort of a thing.
Okay.
And they end up following those folk against the forces of evil. So yeah.
That sounds pretty cool.
Yeah.
Sci-fi. I was trying to think. I read some R.A. Salvatore. It was 3 books that all went together. Not the main one though. It like featured one of the main characters from whatever the main one is. Something about a stone. It was cool. Yeah, I don't know. We used to just go to the library and I would look at the books and pick some that looked cool and I'd take them home and read them. I read Percy Jackson, but I didn't really care for Percy Jackson that much.
Yeah. I read, growing up, I actually read a lot of nonfiction stuff, a lot of nonfiction kids' books. That was more my thing. But it wasn't because I didn't like stories. It was because I didn't like the way stories were written. I was picky. And my mom tried to get me to read Bobbsey Twins and Happy Hollisters, which was another set that she is similar to Boxcar Children and all those other sorts of things. And those books were just too little kid for me. I wanted adventure. Narnia was fun because my dad read them to me. I never really went and read them myself because I'm like, I already know them because my dad read them to me. Like, why? Like, I remember them. And so, it was just one of those things. And Lord of the Rings came on in 2001, and then that got me looking for more fantasy. I tried reading Lord of the Rings at like 12 or 13, when right in between Two Towers and Return of the King. But I literally opened the Two Towers and I felt like I was having a stroke looking at the letters for whatever reason. I literally like picked it up in the store and I was just like, I do not understand this. Is this English? Is this the English version? I don't know why that was the case, because years later I come back to it and I'm like, this is no more complicated than Narnia. Not really. Like, and I could read Narnia. Like I did eventually, between those 2 points, probably somewhere around 11, read the Chronicles of Narnia again, but it's not that much harder. So I was like, why was I don't know. There was like 1 or 2 phrases that I was just completely tripping over. Like, So I was looking for other stuff, and my dad had the Song of Albion trilogy by Stephen Lawhead on the shelf, and he had them on the shelf for a long time. Did I ever show you the covers that we had? For the song? We had the infamous covers for those. Hold on. Let's find that one. Silverhand Lawhead cover.
I must have tried reading the Lord of the Rings for the first time when I was about, I want to say between 5 and 8. and I didn't end up reading it until I was 12. But I had tried. I think I was probably 5-ish. I tried reading it. I couldn't get past.
Take a look at that.
Oh dear. Oh my goodness. That's
something else, right? The book is nothing like the cover. It was just they were trying to get it to sell, I guess. It was just a paperback, whatever. So I saw them on our shelves for years, and I was just like, as a little kid, regardless of cool, he's got a metal hand, whatever. Like I want to read. So I asked my dad about him, and he was like, "You're about old enough. Go ahead." And I read them. They're really good. He said there is a couple parts in them that are really rough, and he was just straight up with me. I was probably, like I said, about 13. He's like, there's not a extreme description of it, but there is one sex scene in the third book, and it's not heavily detailed or anything crazy. And then and it's a marriage. And then in the second book, there's a sexual assault, the aftermath of a sexual assault. Let's put it that way. And so outside of that, like, it's your basic violence. There is some gore, there's decapitations and blood and stuff, whatever. But like, it is what it is. I had seen Lord of the Rings. He was like, "Yeah, you're fine. You're gonna be fine. So go for it." And I read them and just absolutely fell in love with them. And these books actually helped me stay a Christian when I was questioning my faith a couple of times, because it helped me realize, as I did further research on what he was actually trying to say in these books. And it was really about the universality of Christ over all cultures, but specifically in this series over the Celts. And so it's really, really fascinating what he did with the book. And it tied back to history in such a way that I was able to see how Christ, this little backwoods Jewish savior, has anything to do with St. Patrick. Right. And so like, how does that all connect? And it's really, really cool. So that was something that really helped. I wouldn't even say I was questioning my faith. I was just like, okay, why does this connect? What am I missing? It wasn't that I doubted it. It was just like, what is the deal? There's something missing here that I haven't been told. What is it? So, but yeah, that was interesting. But that's one of my 4 favorite series. It's back up there somewhere on the wardrobe. So
one of my family's other favorites that I know my siblings and I have spent long hours with.
Oh, yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. Oh, man. We had some stuff like that. It was fiction stuff, though. Hold on. Let me grab off the shelf. I actually love having them back there because they look so good on the shelf.
We've had those ever since I can remember. They're from the 60s, so they're not the updated version, but
right.
They're quite nice.
So these are Collier's Junior Classics.
We have those.
You have these. Uh-huh.
Yes.
Yep.
We have.
So I have those on my shelf.
I can see 9 of them right here. And I actually haven't read those ones yet.
Yeah, they're a mixed bag. They have some good, some boring, and whatever, but they're fun to flip through and read through a little bit. But yeah, you're the first person I found that had them besides me.
We also have the My Book House. Do you know those?
Yes, I have some of those. Yeah,
I
don't have a whole set or anything, but I have some. Yeah,
we have a set of those as well. Those are very fun.
Mm-hmm.
We're reading about
Go ahead.
Oh, you go ahead.
I was just gonna say this is what I've been reading lately.
Oh,
Hans Christian Andersen.
Okay. What is it? The classic fairy tales?
So it's almost all his works. A all his almost all his short stories. Yeah, it's one of those Barnes and Noble special ones that they did a while ago for a bunch of different topics, and so I really like it. There's a lot of good stuff on those. So,
I think we have the Red Fairy book or somewhere. I don't know if that's.
Ooh, I would love a fairy book set. Yeah. I need to get me a fairy book set at some point. How are you doing, Casey? Yeah. Flip, flip, flip. Yes, I want to show your pictures. Okay, you only have this one so far? She was doing coloring. So.
That is beautiful.
Thank you.
Very pretty.
Say what kind of flower it is? I can't read it quite, I'm sorry.
Oh, up here it says, what does it say up top?
That's the verse.
What's the verse reference? 1 Thessalonians 4:11b, and it says, encourage one another and build one another up.
Nice. I can see the flowers and stuff. I'm just kind of I kind of blur out on the letters. I'm sorry.
Show which book it is. It's okay. Minimalist Bible verse coloring book by Melissa Wingo. Wingo. So she got this for Christmas.
Those are fun.
She's been enjoying that. Yeah, they are.
My little sister got me a Coca-Cola coloring book for Christmas, and I've been enjoying that.
Nice. Did you hear that?
They're a great stress relief, and you can just experiment with colors and stuff too before doing.
She said she can't draw anymore, so yeah, you haven't practiced because you've been, momming and pregnant and.
I've been a crazy wild 8 years, so.
Yep.
Just cut into your time a little bit.
Or any of that.
Show, well, no, I would have to show it, I guess. She's done a few pieces that are hanging around our home. Would you grab can you grab, or can you not get to the rose right now?
I think I can get it.
Okay. This is the first one she did for me. I'll show you. When we were dating, she did a it's not multimedia. What's the word when you use different materials?
I think it is multimedia.
I guess, but when I think multimedia, I'm thinking digital. But yeah, she'll explain it when she comes in, but she did a Beauty and the Beast themed one because she knew I love Beauty and the Beast, so get it dusted off. It's been hanging in our living room. She's bringing it over. So this is it here.
And, oh wow! It's all 3D and stuff too, huh?
Yeah. So she actually burned the edges of that paper and wrote, I want adventure in the great ride somewhere. I want it more than I can tell. And for once it might be grand to have someone understand.
Turn it down.
So from Bell Reprise, When Belle's in the Meadow or whatever.
Turn the radio down. Okay. And go to sleep.
It has the rose there. She used pipe cleaner. And she painted a old record, what do you call it, sleeve with red, yellow, and green kind of for the background. And
painted the porch.
That's really cool.
I also painted Dad's porch.
You also painted your dad's porch? What?
In the process of this.
Oh, in the process of doing that. Anyway.
Oh, that's awesome.
So yeah. But yeah, I love that piece. And we found a nice record sized frame for it, and it's been in there ever since, always hung in our home. And so it's one of my favorite moments in all of animation is Belle Reprise. I think it's so good. The music, the way the animation comes together. It's one of the shortest I Want songs in all of the Disney, I Want Princess songs, whatever. But it's so good. And she just wants an adventure. And there's like you can't fault her for that, unlike Ariel, who's just like, I want to be with them, not with these people who love me. Ew. Or some of the others that have I Want songs. It's like she just wants an adventure. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with feeling lonely and feeling like you want to get out there. And, you know, boy, did she ever.
I like the Beauty and the Beast one. I didn't see it until I was probably about 18, actually. But I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's a great movie. I have so much to say about that, but I won't at the moment. But yeah, it's one of those that everyone kind of either loves or hates. I hear so many bad takes from Christians on that movie in particular. Obviously, they think that that's like, this is the other problem. All the bad takes I hear are usually from people who have no clue of what any of the quote unquote original variations of that story are. And like, they think that this was just a bad fairy tale done ham-handedly, you know, and their biggest gripe is usually the inversion of Gaston being like a typical hero that's actually the villain. It's either that or they have issue with the, oh, look at her, she's loving a beast. I'm like, it's a freaking fairy tale. Calm down. He was a human who was enchanted. There's a difference.
And it doesn't start that way.
Right.
And so it kind of progresses from like a toleration to a friendship to, you know, like there's a montage.
I've actually had some close friends on Facebook and some other places, guys that I actually do know and have had talks with about this sort of thing. And a lot of them are itching to clap back against the people who do things like Wicked, who do and not just Wicked, but like the Maleficent movie and, you know, stuff like that, where they're like, oh, let's recast the villain as the good guy. They were the good guy all along. And they want to get that almost as revenge for the dumbness that Hollywood has put stories through. And Gaston would be a prime person if it wasn't for the fact that, like, if you know anything about the second act of that movie, there's no way that you can.
Does, like, whole scheming and, like, you know,
he throws an old man out who's asking for help and like near death, throws him out of his out of the tavern, which he may or may not own. He has his own chair there by the fire, and then like schemes not only to do that to throw him in an asylum, but also use that to blackmail this woman who doesn't want to marry him into marrying him. I'm just like, we have better literary figures that we could probably do this inversion with, even in Hollywood, even as a rhetorical backslap, you know, just be like backhand, you know, like, cool. I'm not against doing that rhetorical backhand. Just Gaston's not the guy. He's just not.
He's kind of a bad guy.
Yeah, you think? So I admit he has some redeeming qualities, but so does Jafar. Jafar's smart. He thinks ahead.
You could like Ursula or like
Dr. Facile. He's very charismatic. Okay.
And plus, Aladdin was a thief.
Right. Exactly.
So I mean, like, you know, if you're gonna, you know,
he's just trying to stabilize the Agrabah. Because you got this goofy idiot sultan. Anyway. Yeah, exactly. Hilarious. Oh man, not saying Jafar is the guy either, but that would be really funny actually. The more I think about it.
It might be.
Oh man. But yeah. Yep.
So you can do a parody one with Jafar.
Right. Yeah. I think that you know, when it comes to villains and things and people who really shouldn't have been villains, if I really was going to pick somebody, I'd probably do John Silver, to be honest with you, because he's so ambiguous.
John Silver.
Treasure Island.
Robert
Louis Steven. Yeah.
Tim Curry.
I love Tim Curry. Yes, I mean that's a great version. I love Muppet Treasure Island. That's honestly one of my favorite versions, just because it's Tim Curry and he's so crazy. But for real, like, I feel like if we were gonna do a cast the villain as the good guy for conservatives, quote unquote, and have like a masculine character who was villainized, suddenly be the good guy, it would be John Silver for me. I think you could do that, and it would be really awesome.
It would work because they're all pirates anyway, basically, except for like the Navy or somebody.
Yep.
Could work.
And then him actually like trying to bring Jim under his wing could actually like be looked at as a good thing. And his being his downfall, like he's too kind, you know, like that. You could absolutely do that with John Silver, and it would be legitimately cool. So, but yeah, if I was gonna say so, well, who if not Gaston? John Silver, that would be my answer. Yar.
Yeah, there's a Gaston's like all the way down the list.
Yeah, it's pretty far down.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
next to like Denethor almost, you know.
Yeah. Oh, Denethor. Denethor was so much better in the books. Good gracious. Oh.
He was, but I don't think that they did a bad job in the movie. With like the time frame and everything that they would have to work with.
Yeah, I think that was the biggest issue with him. Whereas with Faramir, I feel like they have no excuse. But yes, ma'am.
When I press play, it buzzed.
It buzzed? Okay, let me see what's up.
Not gonna be many hours. Okay, now
sounds fine now. You didn't push it all the way down. Anyway, she's still learning how to use her boombox.
Yeah.
Turn it down, guys, and go to bed.
Was it? Oh, Denethor, you didn't get to really see in the movie that like he had the backstory they did in the book. Actually,
yeah,
and like in the movie, you don't even know that he has a Palantir.
Yeah, I feel like the only way we get a better movie Denethor is if we sacrifice how good our movie Theoden was, and like we have, because that's his foil, right? Like that's the whole point in the book is like you've got these two fathers, they both lose their son, and how are they going to react to it differently? Denethor's been this hardcore guy standing against the forces of darkness for so long, but he's crumbling under the weight of it all and just black pills and loses himself. Whereas Theoden lost himself a long time ago and is coming around when he doesn't even think he has time, you know, but he rises to the occasion. And so like they're absolutely two halves of the coin. And as great as movie Theoden was, I feel like if we were going to get a better movie Denethor, like you'd have to show that more. You'd have to balance it out more, and thus we would get a more inferior Theoden, unfortunately.
Or, picture this. An 18-hour Lord of the Rings movie.
I'm down. Let's go. Anyway.
We just gotta get all the actors and sets and like all that stuff back and just be like, okay, let's do it again. No AI.
And back during that time, let's actually get except for the descriptions of the land, anything that was particularly poignant, go ahead and have a narrator over it and make it Christopher Tolkien while you're at it. It'll be fine. It'll be great. That way anything that was particularly great from the books, you can just put it in. It's fine.
Just narrate that real quick. Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of narration in those kinds of movies, but it would work in Lord of the Rings if you had Christopher Tolkien narrating various portions.
I think especially if whoever did the narration did it like like an epic tale that it is rather than a fairy tale. Right. You know, read it with a little bit of oomph.
Oh yeah. Little zhuzh.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
And then you can get all the character development from everybody.
Oh boy. Then you could do the Galadriel scene without like sort of when they're leaving. I prefer hearing it from a narrator than having them have the awkward conversation about what Gimli got, right? Like you know, that kind of a thing.
Mm-hmm.
There's places where the narration actually works better.
Yeah. Also, that was a cool thing, actually. All the gifts and stuff like that.
Oh no, I meant having that as a narrated bit where they're sailing away, and you see their facial reactions to everything, rather than having them awkwardly talk about, oh, what did you ask her for, Gimli? I asked her for a single lock of her hair. She gave me 3. As great as that was acted by John Rhys Davies, and as good as it worked within the context of the full movie, I feel like that has a better weight if you show them sailing away silently as the music's playing, and you got the epic narrator telling you, and you can go just a little bit into the fact that she had refused a great elf prince long ago, you know, the gift that she gave Gimli, and she gave it to him 3 times.
Yeah, kind of like a little side note here.
Yeah.
Instead of having your friend pause the movie and be like, "Hey, by the way,"
right?
Because you can throw in all those too.
Exactly.
Just the narrator can do the side notes instead of your friend pausing the movie and saying, "Trivia here."
Well, they did that a little bit with Bilbo in the extended edition in the Shire, which I really, really liked, actually.
The narration.
Yeah, the narration that he does in the Shire at the beginning.
Yeah.
It's so good. The only thing that was missing was the game of golf being invented.
Oh, yeah. They kind of threw that in the Hobbit.
Although, was that the Hobbit? That was the Hobbit. But yeah. Okay,
yeah.
That was the Hobbit. Never mind. It's fine.
But it was kind of glossed over a little bit.
Yeah.
The Hobbit disappoints me.
Yep. And I don't think it's just CG like everyone keeps hammering. I'm like, there's way
it's not
worse
just
issues.
that. It's the story, like... Yeah, it's...
I actually really like their take on Thorin. I'm one of the few, I think. I think a lot of people really, really didn't like that he wasn't older and more, you know, pompous or something. I like that he totally believes everything that he's saying.
I like Thorin. Thought that was pretty good.
Most of the dwarves I like that they gave them each an individual personality.
I think it would have still been cool if they had like the color themed cloaks, to be honest.
Yes. Agreed. Yes, I agree. I think that the biggest thing that's missing is the songs. All the songs. I think that The Hobbit, even more than The Lord of the Rings, like thrives on the songs.
In it.
Right. And so I think the songs in general are a loss. A major loss if the songs were in it. I mean, the thing is, like, I know that they didn't set out to do a musical. This wouldn't have been a musical even if they put the songs in it, to be honest with you. But what is one of the biggest moments that everyone remembers from The Lord of the Rings? It's The Edge of Night, which is Tolkien's poetry kind of rejiggered. But, like, everyone remembers The Edge of Night. Everyone remembers how beautiful The Edge of Night with Pippin singing it, like how great that scene is. It's an amazing piece of cinema. And like, even though it's out of place and out of context of the story, that part of the poetry and whatever else, it's still really, really good. And I feel like one of the big things everyone remembers from The Hobbit is, as short as it is, far over the Misty Mountains. You know, like, and so much so that they couldn't have gone without it. They even kept the other one in there, the chip glasses crack the plates. One. And so, like, they knew they needed some songs, and they even put the Hobbit singing at various points in Lord of the Rings. But imagine if we had Gimli singing the Song of Doran. John Rhys Davies can sing.
Yeah, I was actually thinking like how you're talking about the one Pippin does, where they're like do the thing where they're right out to battle and stuff. They could have done something similar even whenever like Boromir was going over the waterfall and had Aragorn, the Gauls, and Gimli singing the lament.
Yep, Boromir's lament.
Not like they could have shortened it if they had to, or they could have done the whole thing. But they could have done like a similar like overlay of the song with the like moving along with the narrative.
You could have them stand on, you know, and there's so many slow-mos of the people actually dying. I'm just like, you could literally make it more of a real-time thing, and then they mourn the character as he's going over the falls. Aragorn alone sings it, you know. Granted, the one song that doesn't necessarily work is Eowyn's little lament of her cousin, but like it's not for her fault. Like it was great, like greatly acted by her. I think she gets made way too much fun of for that, but the audience just wasn't ready for that. Like she did a great job, but yeah.
Way back when, I used to think, oh, that's kind of cringy, but then actually watching it now, I'm like, oh, she's actually, you know, kind of like grieving for her cousin here, and
right,
has to like do this performance here. Kind of like it.
Yeah, I do too. But yeah, it's one of those things that like it's just not going to resonate with people, you know, just because they're not used to hearing. People are so, and this is a completely separate tangent, but maybe one we need to go on. Singing didn't used to be polish until the radio. Not really.
Mm-hmm. That was actually something I was going to bring up whenever you're talking about like musicals and stuff. Mm-hmm. I think people actually used to sing more often in real life before the radio and music and stuff became a constant noise.
Mm-hmm.
I think that also if you take that away and people kind of step back from it, they'll just naturally kind of start singing.
Right.
It could just be me though, because I have a crazy family that whenever we're doing the dishes, we'll all decide to burst into song.
Oh yeah. Same with us. And that's one of those things that that's actually another reason why I'm trying to do the more iconographic art for what I'm doing, quote unquote art. Because I don't want to discourage folks like Ian and other folks who are doing various forms of art. Like I want them to keep doing that. And it's not that I want to replace it in what I'm doing. It's just that I need a thumbnail. You know what I mean? Like to do the thing that I'm doing, I have to communicate it visually in some manner. So what's the best way for me to do that? I think it's to use colors and shapes very simply and let it be enough to jog the imagination of the person who is so visually based, you know, that they have a baseline to begin with. And then hopefully my voice, my acting, the thing that I'm actually really good at, you know, telling stories, will draw them in. And that's what I'm hoping for anyway. But yeah, we need to start singing more. Just like getting people to sing more, be like, hey, sing along, you know?
Yeah.
Do what?
I said it's a thing. Like,
yeah, for real.
People used to, like, I don't know, I'd be reading like older books and stuff like that, and they're like, oh yeah, and then they all gather around the piano and everybody started singing.
Yep. And everybody knew various basic tunes. So like if you wanted to write something, okay, we'll sing it to this tune. Oh, that doesn't fit so well. Let's sing it to this. Like people did that. That's today people write a parody song and they're like, "Oh, you're so creative." I'm like, "Really?" That's like baseline stuff. You know what I mean? Like this is stuff you should be learning, in my opinion, in like first grade. You know, being able to write something to a meter to sing to a tune you want to sing to. Right. I mean,
it's pretty easy to learn by ear. Like if you know the tune, you're like, it goes da 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 da. Then you know your words have to go like that. So
right.
I guess if you start doing it at a young age, it's not too hard.
Yeah. Hazel was writing something today. She's working on a song concept, and I was actually pretty impressed by it. She has a genuinely interesting. Her poetry, you know, whatever. Like she's working on it. It's not great, but it's good for her age probably. But the concept was really there. She had a basic pop song idea of a girl who's suddenly given the world by a man. The man could be many things. It could be her father. It could be Jesus. And she was very clear, like it could have many understandings, but she's literally given the world to run and to like have, and it's meant to be like a gift of like immense wealth. And in the end, she's so totally destroyed by this immense weight that she's relieved when he asks for it back. And he says, now that you now you see why I don't give you the world. Right? And she's like 7 years old, go almost 8. She'll be turning 8 next month. And like that's an awesome and heavy song concept. And she has some very basically good pop lyrics, I'll be honest with you. They're not like blow you away, but they'll compete with anything on Disney Channel, you know, or like and so I was just, she just doesn't quite have a tune yet, and she was very clear, I don't really have a tune yet. I'm like, we'll demo it on Suno, you know, when you have your words completely written down and everything. We'll demo it and work it till you get a melody you like, and then we can have you sing it. And she's just like, she's so excited, you know. And so I'm like, I don't want her to miss that. I like that Suno's there to give you like, okay, here's a basic melody, and then you can tweak it, right? Or basic chord flow, then you can tweak it, you know, and start to talk about how chord progressions work and things of that nature. And so she's got basic melody. She can start picking stuff out on piano by ear already. Just monophonic melodies, you know, whatever. And so like, I like when music is a thing to play with. I think that's kind of one of the things that God meant it to be, was playful. Music is playful.
Yeah, I think honestly, like thinking back, like all of the great composers you hear about, so that I think one of their things was say like to try new things out with music.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they kind of experimented and explored with it. So I would kind of agree with that.
I don't know what is showing on the TV behind me. I'm trying to fix that. Oh boy. This is something I'm going to eventually have just local files on a USB stick and plug it into the TV instead of having the ads that pop up running something on it. But this was one of my older monitors that I had up here. I went ahead and threw it back here, and I feel like it can give a nice atmosphere depending on what I want to put on it. So, but
Cool.
So
you can just like, pick your own background images.
Mm-hmm. It doesn't show up very well on the recording because I'm kind of cropped or whatever. I can see it just a little bit over my shoulder here, but like probably only that much of it, right? But you can see everything, and it just creates a nice atmosphere for the Discord. So
yeah. I have a kind of a painting of yuccas in the background.
Of what?
There's a picture behind me. It's a painting of yuccas. I don't know if you can see it.
Oh yeah. Like the plant, the fruit plant thing. Yeah, okay.
The spiky bunches of leaves with the flowers at the top.
Yep. I know what they are. I just I can never tell that that's what someone's saying when they say it. For some reason, it's just one of those weird words that I'm just like, are you saying the thing I think you're saying? Yeah. So
and I don't know. Some people might say yucca or whatever.
Yeah, I've heard it both ways. And like I said, like I don't think either of them are wrong, because like we're Americans and it's not native plant really, like except in the very southern parts I think, but like
it grows everywhere here.
Oh, it goes everywhere there.
Yeah, but Texas.
Yeah.
Like we lived down near the border between here and Mexico for a while, and there are like the the cactuses and the yuccas and scorpions.
The closest thing to that around here that we have a lot of prickly pear cactuses. So we get prickly pears, and we have some palm trees, palmettos mainly, because we're right on the border of South Carolina. But we're far enough inland that anything but palmettos pretty much dies in the winter. So it just depends. But my mom was born in Fort Lauderdale, grew up there, and came up to Georgia. And most of her family ended up moving up to Tallahassee. So I went down to Tallahassee a good bit to visit with people. And Florida's probably, except for South Carolina, now that I live on the border, probably the state I've been in the second most or third most now, besides Georgia. I always love Florida. Just the land itself is just really cool. Obviously, people can be crazy depending on where you're at. Some of the like buildings and the way everything's been set up is really weird just because of hurricane stuff and all the things that come with Florida. But actually like being on the land and like seeing the way it is and all that kind of stuff, I do really like it. And being in Augusta is kind of like being halfway between as far as just the way the land works. We have a lot of sand here, even though we're still 3 hours from the beach. We still got a lot of sand. And then like if you go 30 minutes west, it's all red clay. So it's kind of weird that way,
We lived in this place in Kentucky where you could walk up the hill one way and it's all like red dirt and kind of like we had blue clay there in the creek and stuff, but the dirt was like red. And then you walk the other way and there was a place literally called Sand Hill. And it was all sand.
Yep.
That was fun.
It's pretty crazy how that ends up happening geographically. The continental shelf and everything, and the Savannah River is kind of cool too. In general, we were right here on the Savannah River, and we get occasionally, just depending on the time of year, we can get gators coming all the way up here, which is really fun. Crazy. Well, it's not like a lot of them, but we'll catch one or two and it'll make the news, whatever. But like it's 3 hours downriver to get to the ocean. So, depending on how warm the climate is and everything, they can come up. But at the Savannah River, of course they got gators, like at the mouth of it and everything in Savannah. They got all of that. It's kind of a cool area too, just because of the old pirate history and everything else. Savannah, just a weird town. But I am way less coastal in my preferences. I prefer to be in the mountains. I'm a mountain guy. I know a lot of people who look out at the sea and they just feel something. That's how I feel about mountains. When I'm driving up into mountains, I'm just like, yes, further up and further in. So I know some people who are one or the other or both. For me, it's way more mountains. I grew up in the foothills in north of Atlanta, and people don't realize how like Brasstown Bald is not is the tallest point in Georgia, and it is not a low elevation at all. Everyone kind of thinks of Georgia like in basically like in terms of Savannah and the swamps and like you know what I'm saying, or they think of Atlanta itself, and it's like the Piedmont Plateau is what that's called. Like there's a plateau that goes up. That's sort of like the start of the foothills, but North Georgia is all mountains, and it is gorgeous.
I have heard that actually because part of the Appalachian Trail goes through North Georgia. So I knew about the mountains there. I actually didn't know about the swamps.
Yeah. Okefenokee Swamp is in the southeast of Georgia. It's one of the biggest swamps in United States. All of the Savannah area, because Savannah's a port town, but it's not a beach town because there's a ton of really hard to navigate reefs and like just really sandbars and all kinds of stuff, and it's just really really hard to navigate any kind of ships through there. And so Savannah was like the one port for miles and miles and miles that people could get to. You basically have to go all the way up to Charleston if you went north, and if you went south, you're going down to St. Augustine in Florida before you're really hitting a port, just because that's how treacherous the coast is right through there. And so it's a really interesting swampy place. It's like a whole coast of swamp, nothing but swamp. Um, and so yeah, it's kind of it's a weird place, like eastern Georgia. I'm on the like I said, the South Carolina border, the east, where it curves up, you know, and everything.
Mhm.
But the actual coast of Georgia is almost all in the south part. Right before you get to Florida, it's all gators and stuff. It's really crazy. So, yep. Gators aren't that scary, to be honest with you, because they really eat well 99% of the time, and they're just slow and lazy. Like they can move really fast if you're not careful, but if you're staying, you know, 20-30 yards away from them at all times, they're not going to bother you like at all. They're not going to try and run after you when you're that far away.
Did you ever see that video of the cat that used to slap the gators?
I think so. Yeah,
like,
I think
they had this cat named, I guess, Muggsy, and it went viral like years ago.
Guys.
But it was just this cat that every time the gator used to come up and just smack him. That was pretty funny.
Yep. Cats are fearless like that.
Yeah.
And yet they're afraid of tinfoil and cucumbers.
But not alligators.
Nope. Oh boy. I think Mythbusters actually tested. That reminded me. Mythbusters a while ago, they were doing a very preliminary. They couldn't do a full test, but they concluded it was plausible that elephants are potentially actually afraid of mice, but they think it's because of the fact that they are usually in grassy environments where there are lots of snakes. And so when they see small movement on the ground, they're cautious and careful and think that it could be snakes. So because if they get bit by a venomous snake, that's no bueno.
Yeah.
You know. So
it's somewhere that sheep are actually immune to rattlesnake bites.
That's interesting. I'm gonna look that up.
I thought it was interesting. So, well, because when we used to live down near the border, there was a lot of sheep ranches and stuff, and there was like rattlesnakes out there that apparently they didn't bother the sheep.
So they are highly effective at resistance. They are not 100% it's not that it doesn't affect them. They are just highly resistant. So to damage, particularly the necrosis, it looks like. So
that's pretty interesting to me.
It is. That is interesting.
Because you think sheep, they're like real defenseless and whatever. But I guess, maybe rattlesnakes aren't going to get them.
Well, I mean, sheep have been, obviously we still have some wild sheep, but sheep are so largely domesticated at this point. It makes sense that even millennia ago, they were breeding out the ones that were dealing with toxicity of various predators at some point, that's the way I'm guessing that had something to do with it, but be interesting to test wild sheep versus domestic sheep on that. But yeah.
Incidentally, rattlesnakes are not friendly. They actually throw like you said, alligators, and they'll leave you alone if you're, whatever.
Yes.
Snakes they'll hiss at you and spit and call names and
Oh yeah. Especially out west versus here. I'm always more worried about predators out west than over here. Like basically we have to watch out we don't put our feet or hands too close to a black widow or a brown recluse, and that's about it. Like honestly, we do have coyotes. You have to be careful of coyotes for small animals. They can very easily pack hunt, your cats or something. We have we don't have them here, but in North Georgia we did. We could have bears on occasion, but they were usually black bears, and they usually didn't go as far south as where I was. they were mostly, you actually had to really kind of get up into the thick of things to actually see bears. But I mean, Asheville has bears. I've seen bears in Asheville, and Asheville's probably 2 hours from where I grew up, you know? So give you an idea. But yeah, so that's probably the worst of what you have to deal with.
Where we lived in Kentucky, we had coyotes for sure, but they would mostly go after like other animals, stuff that was already dead, etc., stuff like that. The foxes were a nuisance, as were the owls. People told us, they're like, oh yeah, watch out for like black widows, right? And rattlesnakes. They told us watch out for black widows and rattlesnakes.
We got copperheads. I'll say we got copperheads and we got cottonmouths.
Yeah, we never saw copperheads, rattlesnakes, black widows, brown recluse, cottonmouths. We never saw any of that in Kentucky.
Yeah.
When we lived in the valley, is what they call it, down near the border, there were rattlesnakes, scorpions, brown recluse, and a whole mess of black widows.
Yeah.
We actually, my mom had a black widow on her one time when we were gardening. Fortunately, the ducks were right there, and they're like, "Oh, that's a bug."
Yep.
Ducks are nice for that. Them ducks must have ate a good 24 black widows.
Ooh. Yep. Widows are something else. I've seen brown recluse here. I've only ever seen one widow. In Augusta. Most of the brown recluses I've seen have been in Augusta as well. But I don't see them often. I'm much more likely to see wolf spiders. You know, wolf spiders? Yeah. We got a lot of wolf spiders, but I'm not as worried about them. They're kind of shocking to see, you know, at first, and whatever else.
Like a spider, you know.
Yeah. They're just big hairy spider, you know, whatever. But
we used to have a lot of those.
Yeah.
Like big ones.
Yeah. Yep. So I mean, they're scary to see, and they'll shock you. But like, it's just gonna hurt really bad if you get bit.
Yeah, they're more like a tarantula. Like,
yeah,
we have tarantulas here, and they mostly don't want to bother anybody. No. They just want to, you know, eat bugs and not drown in the springtime.
Now, one thing we do have that we actually have to be really careful of, just for the pain, it doesn't actually like. It's not something that is gonna really hurt you on a necrosis level or anything like that, but the velvet ants, you know what I'm talking about, the cow killers, yeah, those are.
We have those here too. They look like something I don't want to mess with.
I've heard they're 10 times worse than a bee sting. Now I might have a little bit of allergy to a bee, because I've been stung twice. I've been stung by an entire mess of hornets all over one leg. And that was bad, but it wasn't like I hobbled home. You know, I was a little ways from home and I hobbled home. I got stung on my earlobe by a honeybee one time, and it absolutely caught, like, I was screaming for like 45 minutes.
Wow.
Like I said, that might be me being allergic slightly, but when I hear cow killer, velvet ant, they're something like 10 times worse than a honeybee sting. I'm like, please no.
Yeah. I've heard the reason they kill cows is because the cows are just in so much pain that they'll like boil or die.
Yes. So
I've seen a couple of those here actually, because I don't want them.
No.
And I saw one brown recluse. I've seen one brown recluse, and I looked it up because I wanted to be like, is this a brown recluse or some funny looking wolf spider? And there were so many people saying, oh, they're aggressive. Don't worry about them. Just like, you know, put it outside. And I'm trying to get this spider, and I have never felt more attacked by a spider that I wasn't trying to kill it first than by the spider. And it was like,
there
were these we had some toilet paper rolls on the floor, right? The spider would go in one of them, jump out and try to get me, and go down the other one. And just kept doing that over and over again until finally I like smashed it inside the one because I don't know. I felt like he was being aggressive.
Yeah. The only ones I allow around are like the orb weavers and the little tiny ones and stuff like that. Like I'm like, yeah, hey, cool, buddy. You just sit up in your corner and we're fine. I don't worry about that. Yeah. But if it's any kind of painful bite, I'm like, you don't belong here. You're going to die. Yeah.
I was like, no, you can go outside away from us. And I was like, no, you can actually die now because you're being mean.
Yep. I understand people who try and keep them around, but yeah, I anything that can sink its teeth into me, like, no, thank you. You don't belong here. So.
Yeah, and like, not even like just be mean or anything, but what if you accidentally, brush it this way and it just does bite you?
Exactly.
And you didn't see it. I was like, nah, don't need to take the chance. Especially if you have kids.
Yep.
In the area, like.
Yep. Oh yeah.
We ended up killing a rattlesnake down there, and we're like, we have dogs and ducks and little children here. Well, not little. They were like 12, 13-ish, I guess, but like people were like, you can just relocate them. It's like, we're in this area and we have things that we don't want to die. Family being one of them. So we figured it was better to, get the snake before it got anybody.
Yep. Let's see. What time is it? I got about 20 minutes. Oh, did you want to share tonight or do you want to hold it until we get some more people?
I guess I could share. I don't know. I'm surprised nobody else showed up.
Yeah, I am too. But hopefully I'll get everyone back on track. I know Brendan had game night that he had to reschedule for tonight, and Jesse was with family. So I know that they're doing that. Anyone else, I'm not sure. So, but yeah, I'm like I said, I want to encourage folks to get back in here.
Yeah, I know. Abigail Prolonga said she had something going on because she actually, I think she's the only person that responded in the chat.
Yes. So we'll see how that goes. So do you want to hold it or do you want to read it?
I kind of want to try reading part of it, and you can let me know what you think. If I maybe read further another time.
Yeah, no problem. Go right ahead.
I'm not going to bother with the dates and stuff because I need to rework it.
Okay.
This book is called The Dragon's Bane. It's book 1 in the Chronicles of Asunder, like the main series. And it's a couple hundred years after the short story. Tartag hated his shifts atop Dagvintra Lanval Mine. Even from behind the windows of his sheltered vantage point over the shaft, he could feel the blast of icy winds bouncing off the cliffs on the other side of the channel. The Cliffs of Deadly Winds, the only place along the coast where the shores of Brothern Havendol and the ice cliffs of Iktralan nearly met, the channel's narrowest and most dangerous crossing. Right where the Deadly Winds Island and the mine were situated. If Tartag had it his way, the mine would have been as far away from these cliffs as possible. He would have put it in the forest, just on the other side of Girganat Viri on the mainland, right in the warmth pockets of the volcanoes. Though, if things were up to Tartag, there would never have been a reason for the dwarves to come to Thrafarhandel in the first place. There would never have been, I'm going to say shadowhounds, like in the tales, and there would never have been Seamador to make the hounds. The world would have stayed as it had been before the breaking, if indeed the tales were true and there had been a before the breaking. or if there truly were more to asunder than the land of Frothra and Havendel and its prison of icy cliffs that formed Yggdrasil, the barren, freezing barrier of ice between the dwarves and what was supposed to be the rest of the world seemed forever. The only thing that would change no matter what. The only thing that would never change no matter what. The old tales, of course, said it would one day melt as well.
Were you pausing for Brendan, or?
I guess. I'm sorry. I just saw out the corner of my eye, my screen went black. I didn't even know how that happened.
Huh. Weird.
Okay,
Hi,
so.
Brendan.
Hi, Brendan.
Hello.
What'd you think so far?
Well, I joined part way, and it sounds very Norsey sounding, and dwarves and fantasy, and I am intrigued.
Born of cold and winter air, mountain rain combining. Anyway, go ahead. No,
yes,
I'm enjoying.
Kind of.
Yeah. It is definitely very Norsey, northern. I guess I'm kind of getting into the backstory of it, but so far it's just this guy. He's got this like watchtower above this mine where the other dwarves are working, and he's complaining. That's about as far. That's what the setting is, basically.
As you do.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's cold and nasty, and he's a pessimist. So, yeah.
So it's Connecticut.
I've never been to Connecticut, but maybe. Okay, so the old tales said that this great big giant ring of ice would one day melt as well. But Tartag had grown old in Frothra and Havendel without ever seeing anything more than the land he'd been born in. He found it hard to believe the old tales anymore, the ones that told about the Bellmaker creating the world. Burr, who had created everything, a perfect world, and that let one of its servants ruin it and break it so that it was asunder. And then the next tale of a giant called Thunderfoot who rose up against the breaker only to be destroyed in the fight and lead on to yet another tale, which was supposedly yet to come. The champion of the Bellmaker, the heir of Thunderfoot. That one was supposed to be good. The breaker destroyed and asunder made whole again. They were grand tales, of course, but Tartag was almost 170, and he'd never seen anything besides the wintry, miserable land of Tharf and Havendel, with its mines and its flooding and volcanoes. Nothing of the cold and dark ever changed. Yggdrasil always stood there, sometimes cracking in the brief summers and yielding icebergs to float on the channel. More water to flood the mines. There was no sign even of the breaker, let alone Burr or Thunderfoot. Nothing from the old tales, not even the famed sword and shield of the giant, which were supposedly hidden somewhere in Frothra Havendel. How could they stay hidden 1,000 years in a place as small and dug up as this one? And really, if the tales were true, how could a being like Burr let a being like the Breaker exist in the first place, let alone destroy the world? Tartag hated to admit that he doubted such tales that had once inspired him to become a great craftsman, like the weapon master of Thunderfoot, who had made the sword and shield. But he did. He doubted there ever even was a weapon master these days, because how could such a renowned craftsman leave behind no monuments to his trade? How could such a person not even have a tomb? Tartag wasn't alone in his doubts either. Most of the dwarves slogging away in the mine for the faintest glimmer of Gearskull felt the same way these days. He could tell, even if they didn't say anything. Except for an annoying old dwarf named Groffin, one of the last remaining true smiths on Deadly Winds Island. Tartag could hear him now, singing a rendition of the prophecy of Berthralondel, or Thunderfoot's heir. The last part of the old tales. It was supposed to be a terrifying creature of some kind, like a flaming lion or griffin thing, a hero greater than any that ever walked hill or turf. The old dwarf's voice was the only bit of music left in this place, a relic from before the breaking, if that were possible. And Tortag could hear it now, above the shrieking deadly winds, ringing in time to Groffin's hammer on his anvil. It made Tortag sick. Part of him wanted to feel bad for the dwarf, hammering away at tools for the miners and clinging to the song with every ounce of strength in his failing body. But most of him hated it. He hated it almost as much as the frigid winds. He hated everything about his flood-watching shifts above the mine, straining his eyes to make sure he could sound the bell if there was so much as a ripple on the channel. Sighing, he tried harder to ignore Groffin's song and turned on yet another circuit of watching the black water. Nothing, as usual. The mine hadn't been flooded in 90 years, and even then it had only been a small bit. He couldn't understand why they made such a big deal about it at the castle. He sighed again, letting his eyes drift up the white ice across the channel. Nothing. Under northern lights, rang out Groffin's voice, followed by the crash of his hammer. Tortag rolled his eyes up towards the sky. Nothing. Just a glimmer of green and purple ribbons in the sky. Some dwarf scholars call them the northern lights, as if there was a world southward. They were a bit brighter tonight than they had been in a long while. So were the stars. Of course, the logical explanation was an unusual lack of clouds tonight. He'll come across the ice, sang the old dwarf, still oblivious to the hour. Just as Tortag turned, ready to end his shift, with a shout to the old dwarf about quitting time, he saw something, on top of the cliffs. He'll come across the ice. The something, a little blackish shape, moved as the song ended, causing Tortag to jump back in surprise, knocking his elbow against the alarm bell. And then that's probably about where I'm going to stop tonight.
I'm enjoying it. It is
Can I say
definitely
something?
Yeah, go ahead.
His name was Eustace Clarence Scrubb, and he almost deserved it.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
See, I had a quippy one like that too, but I wasn't gonna say it until you said yours. Mine was you said he what was it? He did something nothing. Like the way you said that.
He's like looking around at everything.
Yeah, it's nothing. And I was thinking Yukon Cornelius. Nothing.
Oh yeah.
Oh boy. But no, I really liked it. I like the pointed nature of the various Norse-like things that you've concocted names wise and what you've done with it. It definitely puts me in the space. I like the atmosphere. You have always been someone who does really, really good atmosphere in what you do. I always feel like I'm in the place where you're at, where you're speaking of very clearly, without issue. So good job on that. Obviously didn't get very far into the plot, but what I heard I liked. It sounds like it's going somewhere. It's giving me all the things that I need to be like, yeah, keep going, so good work.
It's a longer piece than what I had planned on, like just reading all in one go. But basically what happens is like he's listening to this old dwarf who's actually singing about this prophecy, and he's like, oh, there's nothing going on here, nothing. And he's supposed to ring this bell if the mine starts flooding. And what happens is he accidentally bumped into it like that, and then all the dwarves are like, what's going on? And he's like, oh, it's nothing, guys, it's nothing, totally nothing. But then they see what's on top of the cliff too, and so then they're like, oh my goodness, what's that? And then they all race to their boats and they go to see what it is.
Yeah. Very cool. No, I like that. It's sounding really good. Really good. I'm excited to hear more about that. I am considering doing more episodes of Poets at War to do some catch up because I'm still way back. I just finished October in actual episodes that I've been putting out. But the other option is to actually start live streaming these more, which I do have the setup to do that now, and did live stream on my birthday, and it went mostly okay. There were some snafus with sound, but I figured that out after the fact.
Speaking of which, Joshua, it sounds like you're in double.
I'm in double?
Yeah.
A little echo, but I was wondering if that was on my end because, like I said, my screen is still black as well. I can't see anything.
I'm getting the slightest. I'm just getting the slightest amount of double from you.
Oh, I think I know why. Working on it. Go ahead.
Sorry, Vikings, Norse.
Where, like, if you're saying my cat, you say katten min. So you have the article or like mine afterwards.
Yeah.
So like I was borrowing some of that stuff.
Check 1, 2. Do I sound better?
Yeah, yes. There we go.
See, I fixed it. There we go. And I can fix it in post too, because it was on 2 different channel thingies. So that'll be fine.
Yeah, I real like okay, that the fact that you actually dove into the language is a really cool detail, because a bunch of people would just like get like Norse sounding names and just use them without thinking about like the actual depth and meaning behind it or the language. So I appreciate, as someone who is a Tolkien fanatic, I appreciate the language. Yeah, that's one thing I need to work on for my stuff, is getting having names not just be boring, doing interesting things, like where the articles, or not the articles, but the modifier, whatever you would call that, comes after rather than before. The cat and mine, not my cat, right?
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I was just thinking, another language is really fun if you want to go completely in a different universe. Hungarian.
Oh, dude.
The sentence structure, if you're translating it literally to English, is insane.
Well, Hungarian, like, we know where it comes from. It's not Indo-European. It's Mongolian. And so it's like, what are you doing here? There's a reason why I whenever I do like anything in any game that involves Feywild, I have their naming. And I'm using like a pre-generated fab generation thing. I always plug Hungarian in, because it's just so out of left field.
Yeah, and for me, it was a little unexpected, because I had expected it to be a little closer to the European languages. But it's not.
It's not. Nope, you don't get to have that niceness.
No. Instead of saying the girl is standing next to the lamp, you say lamp the standing next the girl to is.
Show me what you got, Brendan. That's all you're about to show something.
So there is I think I might have mentioned this before, I don't know, but there is a artist I follow on My Mini Factory. I'm subscribed to them. For $10 a month, I get $40+ worth of miniatures per month.
Nice.
I'll take it. One of the things that I wanted to test something about, because they always release these things in sets, and they usually always have some infantry, some cavalry, a hero, a commander, a big monster, right? Though that's what they always have. So I thought, all of these are roughly the same size. I wonder what happens if I stick some cavalry from one faction with the horse from another faction. So this is a wolf from orcs, basically. And this is a Norse rider. The Norse is why I thought of this.
Yeah. That's awesome.
He fits. He fits. Now, yeah, I can have wolf riders. Yeah. And that's the point, because one of my factions in my game is beast riders.
That's awesome.
So I'm gonna have to do some. I am gonna have to do some tweaking. And by tweaking, I mean I'm gluing, right? Because technically, this guy is meant to sit on a horse, and horses are flat backed, right? So this wolf, it's technically at an angle. So if I were to put him flat back, he would be leaning back like this. But I can look at I could look at the. I don't have to have this guy match, right? This guy doesn't have to be the guy that rides this wolf. If there is a horse that's rearing, I could hypothetically use the rider from the rearing horse on this guy, and it'll work just fine.
Right.
Just because they're not from the same set, they're not paired with each other automatically. So I have to figure out which one goes with which. But I'm really sorry. You mentioned Norse and Norwegian and stuff like that, and that triggered this thought in my head because this is a Norse character.
It's really cool, though.
Well, I'm gonna need to wrap the recording and probably get to recording my other stuff. I've been off from recording not just this, but recording audiobook stuff, and need to kind of get back to it. But I've had a really great night. Brendan, I'm stopping recording now.